What is Google Sheets and why on earth should you care about it? I hope to answer that today. If you are a complete beginner, this is made for you. If you're an intermediate spreadsheet user, you're going to be comfortable here as well, and I hope you'll find benefit from it. We're going to, from the ground up, create a new Google Sheet, talk a little bit about why I use it, and then we're going to just work with some basic formatting, text input, the very bare essentials to get you up and running, and then we'll tackle some more advanced features and some more commonly used functionalities in future videos. But for today, if you don't know anything about spreadsheets, this is going to be a good spot for you. If you have received some from work, if your boss has said you need to brush up on your spreadsheet skills, this is perfect starting point for you. I've also got some more advanced tutorials on my channel now and forthcoming. There's more coming every week, so please be sure to subscribe to that. I really appreciate your support. Today, let us now begin with a blank canvas. There's several ways to get into a new spreadsheet, a new Google Sheet. The way I like the best to just get to a brand new blank sheet like this that you see is by typing sheets.new into your browser. That's just a shortcut URL to get you to a blank spreadsheet. Another way to get to it is if you're in Google or if you're in Gmail, up here on the top right corner, you're going to see this grid of 9 dots. This is where all of your Google apps live, of which Sheets is simply one. We've got YouTube, Gmail, Calendar, the Drive, Docs, and check it out, Sheets. If we click Sheets from here, it's going to take us to this Sheets homepage where we can click this big blank button here and create exactly what we already have, or we can select from the template gallery some of these pre-built templates that they've made for us. And then if you scroll down further, you're going to have, well, let me go back out of here. You're going to have our anything that's on your personal Google Drive will live here. Now, the other option you may see is sheets.new, and you're not signed into Google yet. Well, it's simply going to prompt you sign into your Google account. If you have a Gmail, like I mentioned, that's what you use for this. That's how you log into Gmail. If you don't, it is free, and all you have to do is sign up as you would with any other online sign up. Now, once we're in the program itself, top left corner, we've got the untitled spreadsheet. Click in there and we can put our title here. Okay, if we click this button right here, that's just taking us back to the Sheets home. It's another shortcut to go back there. Then we've got a star if we want to put this in our favorites folder. We have the ability to move this around in our personal G drive, and we can put it into another folder here. We can add a new folder that's just for file management. This will give us the status of our document. And then over here, we've got our version history. So this is pretty sweet. If you're a coder, you'll be familiar with version history control, like on GitHub. We'll do that with code bases. In Google Sheets, because it's a web-based application, it's going to keep track of every change we make, and it'll let us revert back to different versions, name them different things, make copies, etc. So anything you do, it's going to be saved in there. So if you make some terrible changes, you can always roll them back if you go into that version history. Up here, we have the same thing with a comment history. So we can collaborate with others in these, which we'll get to in a later video, and we can actually make comments and tag people, stuff like that if you're working on a team. This is really handy, and it'll save our comment history even when we close those comments there. And then lastly, if we want to start a meeting, we can actually start a meeting with someone else inside through this spreadsheet. So that's a little beyond the scope of what we're fooling with right now. But the last thing I'll show you here at the top is how we share this sheet with others. And it's a very simple process of putting their email in here, clicking done, and it'll send an email to them with a link to this. You can grant them either restricted access or editing access when you add someone there, so they can either view this only or they can log in and actually work on it with you. Down here we've got our pretty typical setup for menus. We've got all of these: file, edit, view, insert, etc. with tons and tons of information and tools in there that we're not going to mess with today, but we will, so stick around. And then we've got kind of a shortcut bar right here, which we can certainly hide that top menu if we want, or show it all there. All this is shortcuts for primarily formatting stuff. If you've used a word processing program of any kind, you're going to find some familiar things here, including fonts, formatting for numbers, etc. Okay, enough of the overview. What are we doing here? This is a blank spreadsheet. We've got columns that are lettered A through Z and beyond, and then we've got rows that are numbered 1 through however far down we go. Okay, let's go over just like some bare essential data entry information. In order to type things in a cell, all you got to do is just start typing. You see where you are by this blue icon. It shows you the blue border around the cell. It shows you where the active cell is. And that's what we call that, is the active cell. And now it's down here. You can navigate using your keypad, using the arrows on it like I'm doing here. You can navigate using your mouse by just clicking here, 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 here. And then you can type by just starting to type. You can also, sometimes there will be a need to double click in a cell. Say there's something in here and hey, I misspelled this name and I need to add an M in there. Well, I'm going to double click in there and then I realize that's wrong. That's not how you spell my name, so I'm going to delete it. And you can navigate in that way. Also, there is a function bar. See this spot right up here where David is written? So I can just click right in here and I can, let's change his name to Dale. So we can type up here in the same way. That's what's going to appear down in the active cell. As we get into actually writing functions, this is going to become more important to visualize. Okay, let's just say we want to highlight all these, and we can do that just like you would expect by clicking and dragging. Or if you want to use just your keyboard, you can navigate up here with your arrows and then hold Shift and press down, 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 and over, and that'll highlight, and then you release Shift. Let's do Command B. That'll bolden the text. Well, I don't really need the numbers bold. Here's the other way to affect that, is up here on the menu bar, is to just click that bold button. As you highlight some of these things, you can see, especially over here in the formatting, Command-Shift-X is strike through. Let's test that out. Command-Shift-X, that crossed through the numbers down here on my active cell range. I'm going to press it again to undo that. And then I'm going to select everything. Control A. Press it a couple times. See, it'll want to select just this little range. It's kind of thinking, hey, you've got some data here. This all goes together. Maybe you want to select that. But if you press it again, it'll let you select everything. Let's come up here and let's select a fill color that's maybe this light orangish. And then I'm going to select a text color that's not quite black. It's just kind of dark. And so we can change our formatting in this way. And then I'm going to change the default font size up to 11. And then I'm actually going to change the entire font of everything to this Proxima Nova. So we can also come down here and say I want to just get rid of this column. Well, I can do a few things. I can select it, right click, and I can say delete column. And I can delete this column too. You can delete any columns that you want that way. I can select rows and I can say delete rows that way. I can also, if I want to go hands-free off of the mouse, I can press Shift Spacebar, and that's going to select an entire row. Or I can do Control Spacebar, and that'll cycle through selecting or deselecting the entire column. So we got Shift space for the row, Command space for, or Control space for the column. Now, there are a host of keyboard shortcuts. Here is the menu list of these, and they vary from platform to platform, so they are going to be different windows to Mac OS. Okay, back to our data. Let's do a couple more things here. Let's say we're dealing with money, okay? Let's format this as a currency. And we can go one further. If we need additional number formats, we can click this little 1, 2, 3 shortcut, and we can do, I don't know if we want to do accounting to have all those dollar signs on the left. If we want to say maybe just do currency rounded to the nearest dollar, we don't need those decimal places, we can do that. We can even go all the way to the bottom and say custom number format. And you can get really in the weeds here and do some super specific things with your number formatting. Let's say we want to add some dates. So today is 7/6/2023. We can do that this way. And then, let me just show you something here. If we have a number or a date, and you see the active cell, the bottom right corner where there's this blue dot, if you mouse over it, you're going to see your mouse cursor turn from a regular cursor to a little plus sign. That's going to say, or that's going to let you click and then drag down. And in this case, it's often smart enough to know what you want it to do. And indeed, I wanted it to just increment day by day. So now I've got 6/7/6, 7/7, all the way to 7/13. I don't want it to look like that though. Let's get a different format. Here, how about this full date? So I want the year in there as well. Let's go ahead and make this look more like an actual table by giving it some headers. This is just pretty much useless information, doesn't make any sense. I'm going to bolden it though, and then I'm going to put that aligned in the center, I guess. And actually, I'm going to align all this in the center. And the way I'm going to do that, I was using a keyboard shortcut, Shift Command E, but you can also come up here and just go, hey, center this. Now, I don't want these in my way anymore. And in fact, you know what I don't want at all? I don't want any of these columns. So I'm going to Control Shift Right arrow to select all of these and then delete them. I'm going to do the same thing for 16 down through 999 and delete all that, just to kind of clean this up a little bit. And then I'm going to highlight where I've got my information, and I'm going to go up here to this fill color, click it, and then down at the bottom we have alternating colors. I'm going to pick this blue, and I'm going to say done, and now I've got what looks, more or less like a table. I'm going to change the font color of the headers to this off-white. And now let's sort this. So how do we sort things in Google Sheets? Well, if you click these 3 dots, if your screen is not zoomed in as much as mine, you might not have to click this 3 dot. But then you can say create a filter. And by doing that, it's going to highlight, see how these columns and these rows where my active information is are now green. These are going to be filterable rows. And if I click this little symbol right here next to my headers, it's now going to let me sort by name, if I want to go alphabetically, by price, by the money here, if I want to go lowest to highest or highest to lowest, or by date, the way that I had it initially sorted. So that's going to let us sort some stuff here. It's also going to allow us to have some filter criteria down at the bottom. So if I only want to see or if I don't want to see some of these people, I can just deselect them. And then now it'll show me only who's left. If you look over here though, it's not going to delete them. See, it goes from rows 3, 4, and then up to 7. So the rows are still there. This indicates that I have a filter on, so I can go back and select all, click OK, and now they will reappear. Okay, so this is very basic setup on how you can change some formatting. I'm going to do one function here as a closing comment for you. And in order to use functions inside of Google Sheets, we can go to a cell. So it's our active cell down here, and I'm in A13. And we click the equal sign. This indicates to the program that I'm about to do a function. I'm about to write a formula in here. Now, we're going to get into the weeds with this, but I just want to show you how you can add up all of these dollar amounts. So if I press equal, and then I come up here and I select A4, and then I say plus A5. check that out. And then I hit enter. It's going to add up A4 and A5, which is 39. I can double click into here and I can add up A6 and gives me 99. So you can one by one add or subtract. Let's say I want to subtract now this 19 and it'll give me 80. You can do some very easy basic mathematics in here. Or we can take advantage of built-in functions and say equals sum. And look at this. As soon as I started typing the letter S, all of these things come up. These are all built-in functions to the program. And here's the one I want. I want sum of a series of number or cells. And look at this. It's got all sorts of sum functions here. So we're going to get into the weeds here. There's over 500 or so built-in functions in Google Sheets that are extremely useful. So if I click sum, it's going to pop up some information here. It's going to say, hey, you can sum different values. And if it doesn't have this information, you can click up here and it will expand it to give you a little tooltip helper, and then even a link to learn even more if it's a function that you're not quite sure how it's supposed to work. I'm going to minimize those details, and then I'm going to just come up here and I'm going to click A4 and I'm going to drag it down to A11. And you see this dashed line that's around that whole range in column A. Look down at the formula or up here in the function, the formula bar, and it's going to say A4 colon A11. That means that whole range from A4 all the way to A11. I'm going to close a parentheses and I'm going to click enter, and it's going to give me immediately the sum of all of those numbers. This is how you write functions in Google Sheets. Again, this is one of the most valuable tools, features of a spreadsheet program, is the ability to both write your own formulas as well as use built-in functions like this. We're going to do a lot more of that in the future videos, and I hope this has been a good introductory video for you to start navigating Google Sheets. Please don't be intimidated by it. It did take me a long time to learn what I know today, and I've got a lot more that I still don't know. So this is not an overnight matter, but it's also very easily digestible in chunks. So I hope you'll subscribe to my channel as I begin putting out more content for the beginner like this. Please click like, and I will see you on the next one. You're awesome. Thanks. Bye.